Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The World Championship in Paris is just around the corner. Many players are giving their predictions of what's going to happen over the coming days, and Zellsis even giving his thoughts on what's going to happen in their particular group. Yes, PRX might be the big favourites for the entire tournament. What are their chances to win it? Zellsis reckons not especially good with Sentinels in their group. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. The teams, the players getting ready to go for the coming days, and Demon 1 is set to be there as well. He's going to play, as we know, for none other than Dragon Ranger Gaming at the big tournament. Demon 1, number 23, turned 23 years old. He bought the DRG bundle just the other day to show his support to his new organisation, and it's all rather entertaining. He even dropped a little bit of a birthday buff clip yesterday. So, the World Championship is around the corner. The guys on DRG are getting out there. The question is Demon 1 going to play for that team? Are they going to get the visa sorted for Vukashu in time? That is a big question. If they don't, Demon 1 will be in. If not, then, could they bring him in anyway if things aren't going to plan, as Demon 1 says right here, on the flight on the way to Paris. Now, is it going to be necessary? Is he going to win the World Championship again with DRG? Well, obviously, first of all, the big challenge is actually to get out of the group stages, even if he is there. So, they tweeted this out, I thought was pretty funny. So, yeah, they've got the team in a, well, looks like an airport in China on the way. Now, Vukashu not necessarily with them on the way just as of yet, and Demon 1 also potentially slightly photoshopped into this image right here with some shoes that they seemingly have drawn on. So I thought this is pretty funny, really. Obviously not traveling totally together as a team right now. And I don't even, it's just a funny one, isn't it? DRG Demon 1 kind of came out of nowhere. Maybe it'll be necessary. We'll see if DRG get Vukashu in time. And, well, they've touched down in Paris, they say, all together now. So let's see if they get him in time or if Demon 1 is necessary, because Demon 1 will be out there. Now, Patman is also going to be with PRX. Just, this is obviously a good sign confirmed now by the team. This was never really in so much doubt, just because he played for PRX and, of course, came victorious at Tokyo for the VCT Playoffs Pacific. Now, the only reason why he potentially wasn't going to play in that tournament was because he was still waiting on his passport and everything to get his visa sorted to go to Paris. So the assumption was that if him and the team were all there in attendance in Tokyo, that as a result of that, the Paris visa, the Schengen zone visa, had been confirmed and he was going to be there. But just to avoid any doubt on that matter, yeah, Patman will be there with PRX at the World Championship and they will have their full strength team. Those are clearly the two favourites, PRX and G2. They come from arguably the regions that are performing the strongest at the moment. G2 have been very hard to stop in the Americas all year. PRX on top in Toronto, then on top in Tokyo, and maybe they can go one step further and now try to win the big one. As G2 VALORANT say, well, here's the team anyway, and Baby Bay is with them along for the ride as well. So pretty interesting. There's no Leaf in this image, so you never know, right? Is Baby Bay going to go back in? I'm sure that Leaf will be there with the team, but and obviously will be their intended starting player on the roster. But as we know, Baby Bay is there just in case he is required. And look, who knows what might happen this upcoming tournament. He's obviously been a key part of their run over the last few weeks. Unfortunately for the French fans, for some of the Vitality fans, they're not going to be competing at this year's. I mean, there's no real French representation at all. Maybe Alex, coach of PRX, you could argue, but that's pretty much about it. And the Vitality guys, they would have loved to have qualified. They didn't, of course, and they actually put together a little video here, kind of doing a guide for looking around Paris for the tournament, which is pretty funny stuff, I suppose. Obviously, they're trying to promote their new jersey as well, so that's the whole strategy there. But they are going to do this events kind of thing in Paris. If you guys are going to be in attendance, they're going to do a fan rendezvous for all the VALORANT fans. They're going to do watch parties, 1v1 tournaments, player meet and greet, all this type of stuff. They're going to do a shuttle bus as well to the games, as long as you sign up in advance. So that's really great to see. I'm sure that they would much have preferred to actually have qualified for the tournament, but maybe next year, right? But of course, Champions isn't going to be in Paris next year, you would well imagine. This is Kang, spotted in some European ranked. Shouldn't be a massive surprise, but just thought it was notable that Edward Gaming are also there as well. Kang, among others, getting their practice in ahead of the big tournament. Can they go back to back? Let's not forget, reigning World Championship winning MVP from last season, qualified again, but in far from spectacular fashion, and that's why there's some of the reaction we'll see in a second here to the way way these predictions might potentially play out. So Zellsis was on a mad one over the last couple of days, and he's also given his predictions for the way the group stages are going to play out. I also wanted to share what Mini Jake had to say, of course, former FNATIC coach, etc., on the chances of some of these top teams winning the tournament. So I wanted to discuss that a little bit before we talk about Zellsis' predictions. This is what he has to say.
It's pretty good. I think it's very fair group draw. Do you think China will perform at champs this year? No, but I do have Kang in my top 15 just in case. Heretics form for champs? Pretty bad. Percentage Liquid could win champs. I mean, what's the percentage chance that PaperX or G2 win? Let's use this as a baseline first, because I think you guys would overestimate. Like, the odds should be like... See, someone said there's a 70% chance it's one of these two teams. That's a bit high, you know? 40% for each? I think you guys overestimate odds. I would take G2 or PaperX over the field. Yeah, but like odds-wise, you can't say it's 80% chance. Like, that's mad. There's like 16 teams at the event. You're saying that 14 of those teams, between them, have 20% chance to win versus the two... Is it 16 teams? Two teams got 80% chance, and then the other 14 have 20? I don't think that's how odds work. Yeah, 50 to 55%. I think I agree with that. 50%, 50%, something like that. So by that logic, it means that Team Liquid can have no higher than, say, like a 15 to 20. 15 I give them, which sounds low. Like, if I said that out loud, they have a 15% chance to win champs, you'd be like, what the f are you talking about? Now, remember, there's 15 other teams. You know what I mean?
So these are the groups in question. PaperX and G2, Group A, Group D respectively. They will be the favourites, of course. Well, as it turned out, the #1 seed from Europe was Team Liquid in the end, that they won, and it was Billy Gaming over in China. So those are the favourites in the respective regions. Are they the favourites for the entire tournament? Not necessarily. But PaperX and G2, right? What are the chances that you take those two teams over the field? Now, of course, there are certain teams with a very limited chance to win. You know, XLG, for example, some of the groups that these guys find themselves in, it's going to be tough, right? But, you know, you look at a team like Gen.G, or even, let's say, you look back in Toronto and you look at a team like Wolves. Yeah, they didn't win the event, but they made a big run to top 3. They took some scalps, as we know, along the way. So you look at these big tournaments, there's always going to be one team at least that's probably a bit of a surprise, makes a deeper run of the tournament than we may well have expected. And as a result of that, there's reasons why the top teams don't have, you know, a 99% chance to win. It is probably fair to say that PaperX G2 combines, their chances are probably 55 to 60% that they win the tournament. I would say 50 to 60%, something in that ballpark. I agree with Jake's analysis on it. So that gives the other 40% chance to win the event, if you look at it that way, to the other 14 teams. So who takes the lion's share of that? You can talk about Liquid. You can talk about, you know, Sentinels have to be in the conversation. Of course, you can't count FNATIC too far outside of it either, given the potential that they could still have. Even a team like T1 maybe, or Heretics, maybe they could make a run as well. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, you can't say that PaperX and G2 are like so overwhelming favourites for the tournament. Yeah, it would be a big surprise if both of them, or even one of them, didn't go deep into the tournament, but they will have some competition for this championship. Even the likes of Gen.G, with a good recent turnaround from Europe, maybe they could cause some threats in the group. And of course, to win the event, you first got to get out of the groups, and sometimes that is far easier said than done. So Zellsis does his group stage champions pick'ems, and he says, look, if you get them right, I'll buy you the bundle. So these are his predictions, and he's got some pretty interesting takes in here, it's got to be said. Now, obviously, he's got Sentinels advancing, and in an ideal world, he's got PaperX going out. Now, Sentinels played Gen.G in their first game. They will expect to win that. And look, he doesn't want to pick Sen as the #1 seed going through the group because it might be bad juju. So he's going to take XLG instead. Is this the most serious Group A pick'em from Zellsis? Possibly not. It is his own group after all, so take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt. But still, PaperX going out, like bombing out of the group, seems a relatively unlikely possibility. It does feel more likely that PaperX and Sentinels will be the teams to make it, but of course, that is far from guaranteed. All of these groups are pretty well structured from top to bottom, and pretty damn competitive at that. Group B is interesting because Tens also did his pick'ems the other day, and he predicted, you know, his Group C was very, very difficult to call, and for good reason. But Group B, RRQ FNATIC he went for, MIBR Billy Gaming bombing out early on. Now, Zellsis has Billy making it through also with RRQ. So I think FNATIC are in a very interesting position. They've struggled leading up to this World Championship. Can they turn it around for the big one? It's not so clear. RIQ have looked very strong. Maybe it's, last year it was Edward Gaming who made the run all the way. This year, I mean, look, the way he's got it is 4 Chinese teams making it through the groups. I mean, look, how likely is it that out of the 8 teams that make it through, 4 of them are Chinese teams? Probably relatively slim, but look, it is predictions after all. If I had to predict Group B, I'm probably taking RIQ and FNATIC, probably. But I can definitely see a world where this happens. And I can absolutely... I mean, look, the way that MIBR were playing recently, it's tough to predict them making some serious noise here. But Billy, RIQ, FNATIC, it's a nice group to think about. Group C is kind of all over the place. He's actually got NRG and Team Liquid bombing out. It is possible that Team Liquid bomb out. Yeah, they should be expected to be pretty good, but, I still think the ceiling and the floor for that team is pretty wide apart. And Group C is so difficult to call anyway, and we'll probably talk about this more in the coming days as we saw more predictions start to flood in. DRX, if they're going to come top 6 in the tournament, they're going to have to make it to the bracket, as I've said before, so I think there's a good chance of that. Can Edward come in and defend their title? I'm not so convinced. I think that Group C is absolutely all over the place. You could genuinely flip a coin, probably, and give yourself some decent answers to that question. Every iteration there feels almost kind of reasonable. And I don't think NRG should totally be counted out either. And then Group D, he's gone T1 DRG, G2 not making it, and Team Heretics not making it either. So, look, are these the most serious pick'ems that you've ever seen? Because TENS has it totally the other way around over there in Group D. But I think there will be some of these groups, when we look back at this tournament, the group stages in hindsight, I think that at least one of these groups, Zellsis will probably have cooked on. How to predict which one that is a very good question, but these group stages, they never go exactly how you predict. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.